You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah!
All right, good morning, everybody. This is James Morris along with Anna Marie Morris. Every morning from 6 to 6:30, we get on Fox 28 and we answer your questions. And sometimes if you don't call, we'll put a few questions out there for maybe you want to call and give us the answer for. But one of the things that we'd like to do is talk about preventive maintenance. We also like to talk about cars that you can buy. And matter of fact, we're going to have Brian Armstead going to be calling us in a few minutes from Maryland. And I think he's giving a report on a $400,000 car he test drove. It's a Rolls Royce. I've only seen one up close. I got to work on an old one, like a 76, 78 model.
And what year was that?
Probably about 89, 90,
so
something like that.
12-year-old.
Yeah, it was an older model car by the time I looked at it, and everything on it was so expensive to get. The shocks on them were like nothing I'd ever seen before. They were not shocks that are cylindrical like what we used to have on what we have on cars today. It was more like shocks from 50 years ago that used dampening, pistons on a fulcrum and lever system. It's pretty amazing, some of the stuff. It's old technology, but the technology works so well, and it's so very expensive that I guess they incorporated it. But Brian Armstead should be calling, and he's going to be talking about I want to say it's a $375,000 Rolls Royce, which is something that I can only see in pictures because I'm not going to go out and spend that kind of money for a car, much less a car that I can't even get parts for. But anyway, if you got a car question, give us a call at 850-763-0555. We talk a lot about preventive maintenance. We talk about fluid changes. I'm seeing people coming in with 80, 90, 100,000 miles, and they've never changed a single fluid other than the oil. And they're sitting here going, oh my God, what's this mean? I said, well, cars are not designed to go that far and go and continue to keep going if you don't change the fluid. Something's got to give. Remember, the weakest link of anything is going to be, on a car, the weakest link of a car is the cooling system. That's the weakest link. If it starts to degrade and go south where you're actually not getting rid of as much heat as you're supposed to, it affects the oil, it affects the transmission fluid, it affects those two things right there. And think about it, that's your powertrain.
And your air conditioning too.
Oh, I forgot about your air conditioning. If it's not getting rid of heat, your as much heat as it should be, say the cooling fan is not working properly, or the radiator is restricted, or the condenser is restricted where the radiator can't work like it's supposed to, and it's blocking air, you can actually cause your compressor to fail. And compressor failure, it used to be, I remember years ago, you could put a compressor, dryer, do everything for $200 to $300. That same job now is over $1,000. Maybe we can thank the Federal Reserve for inflating our money to where it's becoming worthless, but that's another story. But if you, but that's what's about air conditioning. Let me go right there. I have too many people come in here and they go, I know I have a guy that can charge up my air conditioning for $50. I go, well, if that's all you care about doing, go there and have him do it. But here's the problem. Today's cars, years ago, they used to require 2, 3, 4 pounds of refrigerant to get by with. Most of today's cars are only 12 to 18 ounces. Now, that's all that's in the entire system. And we're talking about a full-size car. Maybe 2 pounds might be the maximum in there.
That might be like an SUV.
SUV, I'm talking about like a Suburban, 2 pounds in a Suburban.
They don't carry refrigerant like they used to.
No, they don't. But what they've done, they've got the compressor smaller. Everything is smaller and more efficient. That's why when I tell people, well, I'm just going to go get it topped off, I said, well, if you go get it topped off, there's a strong possibility in the next 6 months to a year you get to put a compressor on it. And not only a compressor, possibly a condenser, possibly an evaporator, possibly everything on that's going to have to be replaced.
But people say, my guy puts gauges on it. He's charging it, by the gauges.
You can't do that anymore. I mean,
they're not accurate enough.
Well, it's not that the gauges, because remember, gauge pressure depends on the ambient temperature. Whatever the temperature is outside depends on what the gauge reading is going to be. If it's really, really hot outside, say it's 90 degrees, let's just round things off. If it's 100 degrees outside, just round it off on a hot day. You bring the car in, you put a set of gauges on it, you look at it, the high side reads 175, the low side reads 35. You look at it and go, well, there's nothing wrong with that. in reality, there's something wrong with it because it's undercharged. I can tell you right now, if it's 100 degrees outside and you put a set of gauges on it and the high side pressure with the fans running is not 225 to 250, you got a problem. That doesn't necessarily, but there's a big difference between 225 and 250 when we're talking about the amount of refrigerant going in the system. To get that to go from 225 to 250, if that's where you think it should be, you might add another 2, 3, 4 ounces to get it up there. And today's systems are so small and they're designed so precisely that if you overcharge as much as 10 grams, that's not a lot. Considering there's 28, I think it's 28 grams to an ounce. You know, we're talking about less than an ounce. You can actually cause irreparable damage to the compressor. If that compressor comes apart and it grenades in the system as it's coming apart, all those pieces of metal are being transferred through the condenser. It's getting into the orifice tube or gets to the expansion valve and clogs things up, and then you get to tear everything apart. And if you've got a car that has the expansion valve inside the car, you get to pull the dash apart. You get to pull everything apart to replace it to get air conditioning in it, because air conditioning is not just a luxury item. Air conditioning, in my opinion, and according to the National Highway Safety Administration, air conditioning is really a safety item. People go, what? How can air conditioning be a safety item? James, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. All right, next time you get one of those pop-up thunderstorms we have around here and your window fogs up and your air conditioning doesn't work, well, here, you can find out yourself. Just turn your defrost on. Well, that won't work because it automatically, when you turn defrost on in today's cars, the compressor kicks on. When the compressor kicks on, it wrings the moisture out of the air. So instead of having two little half moons on your windshield that you got to look through to see where you're going, it cleans the entire windshield off in just seconds. So that's why it's a safety concern. It's a safety concern where you can see where you're going. That's very, very important to see where you're going out there. Too many people drive blindly as it is, but it sure seems like it.
Talking about driving blindly, we can come back and talk about the Toyota Prius is the only car that passed the headlight illumination test.
I didn't know anything about that. What are you talking about?
Well, a study came out that I heard about yesterday that headlights, should be able to project 330.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, 300 something feet.
Right. Well,
project.
Most cars are in the 100 feet range.
Well, I doubt that most cars are that much.
The Prius was the only vehicle that passed the 330 foot range.
This is on brand new vehicles, correct?
Well, yeah, that wasn't very clear in the study. I didn't get that, but what I did get is that most people don't pay enough attention to the illumination of their headlights.
Well, I get people that come in here with cars that are that's our phone. Our phone's ringing. That's a new sound. I'm not used to that sound taking place. That's a brand new, different type of sound we have. Got new phones put in our shop yesterday. It's just the amazing part about headlights. People come in here with headlights that are so yellow. I don't see how they can see anything. And I asked them, I said, these headlights, I can make them look brand new again, where you can see where you're going on a dark road, and at the same time, people can see you. So you might want to consider getting them done for less than $100. You can make these headlights look brand new, or you can go out and spend anywhere from $500 to $800, and I can put brand new headlight assemblies in there. But if you have a Jaguar, it's more like $1,500 to $2,000. But I got, Brian's calling early. Now, Brian cannot call right now. I guess I could get him on here. Brian, I guess I could go ahead and get you on here. You told me yesterday that you drove a very nice car, and I've told a lot of people, kind of a lead-in, that you drove a Rolls Royce, but I don't know anything about Rolls Royces. What do you know about them now?
Well, I know that they cost a whole lot of money, James. Good morning to you from
Good morning.
sunny Maryland.
Is it actually sunny up there? Y'all not having thunderstorms or snowstorms?
Oh, it's quite beautiful. But this is pollen season, so if I sound a bit nasally, it's because the trees are doing their thing up here.
Oh, yes, that's right. You're having pollen getting to your nostrils, and it really kind of makes life miserable unless you're a bee.
But see, if I were inside of the Rolls-Royce race, I would have a pollen filter,
That's true.
and dual cabin air filtration, and all kinds of goodies to keep that stale air off of my uppity nose.
Oh, that's right. I mean, you would have clean air. You wouldn't be suffering. You wouldn't be breathing the air that us common folk breathe. You'd be breathing the air of royalty.
No, I said uppity in jest because, we tend to think of Rolls-Royce owners as, kind of a rarefied breed.
Yes.
People who are uppity and, don't want to be bothered, past the great proponent and all of that.
Yeah.
But in reality, the Wraith, the 2016 Rolls-Royce Wraith, is a driver's car. So this is not the kind of car you sit in the back seat and let Charles take you from one spot to another. This is the kind of car with 624 horsepower and almost 600 pound-feet of torque.
Woo.
You want to drive this automobile. It's quite an impressive car.
So it's not the lead sled of years ago that, from went to 0 to 60 in 3 minutes?
No. I mean, Rolls-Royces have always been very powerful. I mean, they, for years, James, they never would publicly print their horsepower numbers because they just said, the power in the Rolls-Royce is adequate.
Yes, it's very
adequate. Even at in cars that weighed 6,000 pounds, you had the venerable 6.75 liter.
Big engine
in the car, and the power was indeed adequate in the older Rolls-Royce models. Today, Rolls-Royce is owned by parent company BMW AG.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And they use a lot of the power plants from BMW. And in the case of the Wraith, they use a motor from BMW, but they put their own specific heads and do their own thing to the car to make it a Rolls-Royce. The car's hand-built, mostly, in Goodwood, United Kingdom.
Right.
And it's built with a lot of the old world traditions that, you would expect from a bespoke automobile. The wood is inspected so that all of the panels match. The leather is inspected so you don't have any marks on the hides inside of the car. All of the wool in the carpet is sourced from sustainable farms where, these sheep who provide the wool are, this is a green luxury car. Rolls-Royce wants to get trees from sustainable farms and get animals for these hides in a sustainable, friendly way so that they can continue their tradition without raising any heckles or causing any protests with this automobiles. It's really quite an impressive presentation.
Well, tell me about, now years ago, the reason I said lead sled is I worked on one older model, 1978 or 79 Rolls-Royce. And it was a straight 6 engine, I believe, carbureted, and it was, it was a big, heavy lead sled that really didn't have a whole lot of power that I would expect from a car as big as this. But, I mean, it was okay, don't get me wrong, but compared to other cars, it was relatively slow back in the 70s. And I was just curious about this car right now. You must be, of course, it's fuel injection, probably V8s. Are they V12s, V8s, V16s? What are they in these engines? Do you know about the size?
Yeah, this is a, I'm going to pull up the stats here in just a second.
All right.
Let me reference.
Sure.
Let me reference your first question or the comment that you made about the 1978 model. And for the life of me, I can't think of any car that Rolls-Royce has ever built that has a 6-cylinder engine.
I kept thinking this one did. Now remember, this was years ago. I'm probably 15, 20 years ago. My memory could be not serving me right.
Yeah,
but
they've always been known for their.
Maybe it was a straight 8. I remember it was a straight engine. It was a straight inline engine. It wasn't a V8 engine. That's one thing I can.
Okay. I'm not totally familiar with the entire history of Rolls-Royce, but I will say that today's Wraith is a 6.6 liter V12.
Oh.
Again, it's based on the same V12 that's in the 7 Series, the V12 from the 7 Series. But it has Rolls-specific heads, and again, 624 horsepower and 590 pound-feet of torque. Coupled to an 8-speed transmission. This is a driver's car, as I said. Got a double wishbone front suspension and a multi-link rear suspension, including self-leveling air springs with anti-roll stabilization, electronic variable damping control. We talked a couple of weeks ago about the variable damping control where you have this ferrofluid which tightens up.
Right. Metallic fluid inside the shocks,
Metallic fluid, and you put a charge on it and it becomes stiff.
Yeah.
This is the Rolls-Royce version of that. They use
Well, hang on, Brian, hang on for a second.
It's just a posh ride, but when you're ready to drive like a
Hang on,
like
Brian, hang on. We're going to talk
series.
more about it. Hang on. We're going to come back to you after a break. I got to take a break right now. Give me about a minute or so. We're going to go to a break, and I'll be right back. We're going to talk to Brian Armstead about the Rolls-Royce, and we're going to talk about what model this is. I don't even know what kind of models they got anymore. I remember the Silver Shadow or whatever. But anyway, we're going to be right back with Brian Armstead reviewing the 2016 Rolls-Royce. We'll be right back.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
If you want the best deal in town for tires, you need to call Baytown Tires at 873-8900.
Hanson and the guys at Baytown Tires take pride in serving Panama City for over 20 years. Baytown Tires on Highway 98 in St. Andrews. All service work backed by a nationwide warranty.
What are you doing?
I'm working my tail off.
You're lying there in a bed.
No, this is just a symbol of how I feel in my new Red Wing boots.
It's a bed.
No, Red Wings just feel like a big comfy bed for my feet. It's a metaphor.
It's a bed.
It's a metaphor.
A bed.
Hey, you two, get back to work.
I'm getting a pair of those metaphors.
Part of what I'd like to let you know is what we do and how we work our system. Basically, we've got about 700 stocking dealers scattered around the 15 counties here in the Big Bend area of the state. I run a fleet of trucks, vans, and what we call hotshot vehicles to deliver to our dealers quickly so they can help service you as fast and efficiently as they can. Provide timely and efficient service, and we're there to take care of our dealers, who in turn can take care of their customers. Thank you.
Scout is going through a stage. She loves to flush her toys down the toilet. So when the toilet backed up, my mom said, call Mr. Reuter Plumbing. They were courteous and professional and did a great job.
You're tuned in to Ask the Master Auto Technician. Car questions? Get answers right now. Call 850-763-0555.
James Auto Center, we fix it right, guaranteed. Beep, 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 yeah.
Welcome back to Ask the Master Auto Technician. I have Brian Armstead here, and he's talking about the Rolls-Royce. I took for granted it's a 2016. Is it a 2016 or 2017? What year Rolls-Royce and what model Rolls-Royce is this, Brian?
Again, it's the 2016 Rolls-Royce Wraith.
What is it?
It's part of the Rolls-Royce lineup that includes the Phantom at the top.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the Phantom Coupe.
Mm-hmm.
You have the Wraith. You have the Ghost. And now you have a Ghost convertible, which is called the Dawn.
The Dawn.
That's the 2017 model. It's the latest in the Rolls-Royce family.
Mm-hmm.
And these cars are just phenomenal cars. Again, I go to parties, I go to social functions, and people find out I've driven a $2 million car or a $400,000 car, and they say, well, I would never pay that much for a car. Well, you kind of get what you pay for in today's auto market, James. If you want the best, then you have to pay for the best. Now, I like Lexus automobiles. I love them.
Right, great cars.
But if you put a Lexus RCF on the racetrack, which is their sports coupe, so the one that's out presently, and you put it up against an M4, a BMW M3 or M4 on the racetrack,
right?
You can see, and even though there's a price disparity of about $30,000, you can clearly see where BMW is focused and where Lexus is focused.
Right.
The Lexus kind of breaks down on the racetrack. It has the transmission kind of tries to figure out where it's going, where the BMW is purpose-built to slaughter competition on the roads and on the racetrack. That's why they have been able to get away with this moniker, the ultimate driving machine, because they really are some of the ultimate driving machines on the roads today.
Now, tell me, so these engines you're talking about and the suspension, is mainly the suspension is the biggest difference you see, or is it or is it just everything? Drivetrain, suspension, everything is the difference.
Well, when you step into a Rolls-Royce, first of all, the Wraith has outward opening doors. They're called coach doors, and they open from the A pillar as opposed to the B pillar in most cars. They open forward and out.
Like a suicide door?
These are long doors. They're about 4 feet long.
Woo.
and you step inside, and you press the button on the upper left of the dashboard, and the doors will power close. It's really quite a presentation. Now, inside the frame of the door, there's an umbrella should you take your Wraith out in the rain, God forbid. But once you get inside, you sit behind this black piano lacquer steering wheel, and the world just kind of feels all right because you have, these beautiful white gauges with red-tipped black hands. You have a center console that's a center stack that has a 10.25-inch center screen that provides all your essential information, navigation, climate, your applications like your Pandora or your music sources, and allows for electronic access to all of your information that you need on board. Let's say you wanted to find out something in the owner's manual.
Right.
Well, they provide a paper copy for you, but there's also an electronic owner's manual inside the database on the car. So, I mean, it's just little touches.
And I bet you it's voice command, too, on the computer. You can probably talk to the computer.
Oh, absolutely.
Like a Tesla.
Absolutely. Well, that's not really a big deal anymore.
Yeah, I know.
You have Hyundais and Kias that have voice command. So
whoever thought that would happen? I thought that Priuses, when they came out with navigation back in 2000, I thought that was the cat's meow. Now everybody's got navigation. I mean, I think Chevrolet trucks, the bottom line, come with navigation now. It's just, you can talk to it. It's amazing out there. So this Rolls-Royce. Now, how do you spell that? I want to say, it sounds like you're saying rape through the telephone, R-A-P-E, but I know that's not what you're saying, but I don't hear real well, and I'm trying to, how do you say this?
No worries.
Okay,
it's Wraith like faith, W-R-A-I-T-H.
Rate, R-A-T-H?
W-R-A-I-T-H, Wraith. It rhymes with faith.
Okay, got it. Wraith. Okay, that's what's going on. I'm sitting there going, my wife's looking at it, she wrote it down, went, man, that ain't the right, I can't, that's not what he's saying there, but I just couldn't understand. But this is now this is it's got the doors that open up backwards like suicide doors, like the the presidential limousines of the 60s and the Mercuries. Is that what you're talking about? I call them suicide doors?
No, suicide doors open from the center outwards.
Right.
These doors open from the front backwards.
Open from the front backwards. Okay.
So you get in at the base of the door opens from the base of the windshield.
Okay. Oh, all right. So the door opens from the base. All right.
They open backwards, and then you instantly see all this beautiful leather, the beautiful wool carpets, all of the machined metal inside. For example, they still have the traditional Oregon stop push-pull knobs for the HVAC system. So if you want to let fresh air into the cabin,
right,
you pull a beautiful metal knob, and the air comes through these gorgeous round vents on the center stack.
It sounds awesome.
The presentation of a Rolls-Royce is just really quite impressive.
And this is a $375,000 car, bare minimum.
Base price $304.
$304 base price. Okay, all right.
Came with a bunch of options. It's got the $40,000 Wraith package. It's got ventilated seats at $2,650, seat piping $3,350, door piping $1,175. And so forth. I mean, It's not an inexpensive automobile, but for those who appreciate a bespoke, hand-built car, then the Rolls-Royce is really something you should consider. When I say bespoke, you can choose from 44,000 different colors to choose to build your Rolls-Royce.
Wow.
And if you want, if you can imagine something that you've always wanted in a car, James, if you have the money, Rolls-Royce can build it for you. Let's say you wanted a cigar humidor somewhere in the car. Well, they could build that for you. Or if you wanted your favorite video game console built in. I mean, anything that you want, a crystal decanter for your spirits. I mean, these are the kind of things that you can have done with the bespoke features of this car. They will build it the way you want to build it.
That is
if you just want it off the shelf, it's a fabulous automobile. But if you want to go custom and do your thing, then the bespoke options available are limitless on a Rolls-Royce.
Now, are Rolls-Royces ordered just the same way the Mercedes were? When I was over in Germany, you had to actually go and order your Mercedes what you wanted. Then you went to Stuttgart and picked up your Mercedes over in Germany after you ordered.
You can take advantage of European delivery on a lot of different cars. People don't understand that. You can do that with Rolls-Royce. You go to the Goodwood factory in the United Kingdom, You see how the cars are made. You get a chance to take your Wraith out for a spin, and then they put it on a ship and send it back for you.
Wow.
But no, you can. There are Rolls-Royce dealers in Florida. You know, I'm sure Miami has several.
That's another state, man. I have no idea. I don't ever go to Miami.
given the demographics in Miami, but no. We have a Rolls-Royce dealer here in the Washington metropolitan area. It's in Sterling, owned by Mr. Thomas Moorhead, and they've got several Wraiths in stock. They've got the Phantom, the Ghost, the new Dawn. I'm sure they'll have in stock. So it's just a matter of, it's no longer the same old deal where you have to kind of order the car. Now, if you want it custom, then you can order it again.
It sounds like something, if I had a lot of money, I'd want to have, but I'd have to have my own personal garage just to house this thing, because it would probably take special training and equipment and special schools just to be able to learn how to work on one of these. I don't know if an average technician of today's that works on Chevy, Ford, Chryslers, and all like myself could even be able to work on one of these. They sound extremely complicated.
Well, I mean, any car these days, I mean, if you look at any really high-tech car these days, they require special factory tools and require special training.
Oh, yeah.
So it's no different from any other high-end automobile.
That's true.
There are 3 Rolls-Royce dealers in Florida, Fort Lauderdale, Orlando, and Miami. So if any of your viewers are interested in this, where the 3 Rolls-Royce dealers are in the state of Florida.
All right. Well, Brian, I got to go to a break on here, but I'm going to make sure I put this on YouTube, send it to you, and you let the Rolls-Royce people know that you gave them a good thumbs up, double thumbs up on this car. If you got the money, you can buy it. That sounds great.
Always a pleasure to talk to you, James. Royce.
I think this is
NA.com if you have any questions.
I think this is wonderful. I just enjoy your reviews on these cars, because these are cars that I never ever see, much less get to drive or work on. But I enjoy learning about V12. That's incredible. And like I said, we don't even see BMWs here with V12s. But I know they got them. But anyway, thank you so much for calling, Brian Armstead. I will be getting back with you. And what is your website up there? Don't you have a website?
Website is under construction right now.
Website's under construction.
Pretty soon.
All right. Sounds good. Let us know when you get that going, where people can come and read your reviews. All right. This is James Morris along with Anna Marie Morris. We'll be right back in a few minutes. We only got about a minute left before I have to go to a break. So if you have a car question, you're going to have to probably wait till tomorrow. And I think I got Mark Sarlo calling tomorrow, and I know I have Hanson Hindenburg calling. We usually try to get those on Friday's show. And we talk about cars, we talk about tires, we talk about preventive maintenance, and we talk about, I learned a little bit about direct injection, how ethanol makes direct injection more powerful, better fuel mileage, running E85, which is something I want to talk to Mark Sarlo about, which is something that almost is contradictory you think about, but with high compression engines, 12-to-1, 13-to-1 compression, it's able to utilize that high compression along with that higher octane ethanol fuel to work, like it's supposed to. But remember, these cars are designed for ethanol fuel. They were not afterthoughts to use ethanol. Hey, this is James Morris. If you got a car question, want to be a part of the show, pick up the phone, dial 850-763-0555, Monday through Friday from 6 to 6:30. Our job is to help you get answers you need to get your car fixed right the first time. All right, this is James Morris along with Anna Marie Morris. We'll see you tomorrow morning. Bye-bye, everybody.
Recently on Ask the Master Auto Technician.
You just wait a day, it will always change. Speaking on that note right here, speaking of changing, we got the Harry Schultz Benefit Poker Run April 16th of Saturday, 2016. That's going to be Saturday, April 16th. Registration at 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. at TJ's Tavern at 9909 Highway 79 in Panama City Beach, Florida. That's right before you head towards Ebro, get out of the county line. As you're heading north, it's going to be on the left-hand side.
Beep, 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 yeah.